Hello, everyone. Here we have the lovely and vivacious Coach Ishleen Kaur with us. She is an eminent behavior skill trainer. She is also an internationally certified coach. And to just add the entire feather to the entire thing, she has also been awarded among the 40 inspiring women of our country in the year 2022 by Fox Story. So we welcome you here, Ishleen.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Shivani, for having me here. How are
Ishleen,
you?
so I'm doing well. Ishleen, we'd like to know a bit about you, about your journey as a soft skill trainer, as an international coach.
Sure. I'm from a very small town near Shimla. So right from the beginning, right from my birth, like when I started noticing people around me, I was very ambitious. I really that there must be a lot of people who know me. So when I did my post-graduation from Chandigarh, I did my MBA, I somehow landed into training. Happened was at that time huge recession was going on, so I did not get campus placement, and I would say I was lucky because I did not get that. So I got an opportunity to work as a communication skills trainer at that time, and that was a big thing for me because I had no experience in training. Just because I had natural good communication skills, I got the opportunity, and I was lucky enough to get that. This is how I landed into trainings. And after that, there was no looking back. Then I got a lot of certifications because, being in the field, you have to do these certifications to gain knowledge. You cannot work on your natural skills. Obviously, you have to know what is going around in the market. So I got certifications, then I moved to this place, then I started as a freelance soft skills trainer. And now I have got good number of clients. I have trained more than 10,000 people now, whether they are students or professionals.
That's been an amazing journey, Ishleen. And I think the topic that you're handling right now, communication, is so very important. Like, I believe the moment we wake up in the morning till the time we sleep, we are continuously communicating. So, anything from your side on why communication is important? Any recent trends in it?
Yeah. So, according to me, communication is extremely important. It's not about workplaces that communication is important. We are communicating right from the time we step out from our bed. First of all, we start communicating with us. What are the things I have to do first? Shall I go and freshen up? Shall I go for a morning walk today or not? Shall I do this today or not? Then we start communicating with our family. And communication is something that creates a lot of conflict and misunderstandings if not handled well. And these days, people are putting a lot of focus on communication, actually, especially if I talk about workplaces. I have designed a special program for leaders because, when it comes to leadership, you have to be very, very good at communicating with people. And communication is not only about speaking, like all of us speak, but how to speak with influence matters a lot so that the other person wants to listen to you. Okay, tell me one thing, Shivani. We come across so many people in a day, no?
Right.
But do we want to listen to everybody we meet?
We really don't want to. Most of the time, we want to speak.
Yes, yes, absolutely. But there are few people whom we come across and we feel, wow, the way she's speaking, the way he's speaking, I want to listen more. So they are the people who have impactful communication skills. People want to listen to them more and more. And what is the reason behind that? That is, they connect so well with people that when they will speak, you will feel, oh, they are speaking about me. They are talking about me. And if I listen to that person, I learn so many things. So you really want to listen to that person.
That's so true, Ishleen. And when we talk about communication, a lot of time we feel it's about speaking, whereas a very, very important part of communication is listening to others. And there's so much of difference between hearing someone out and listening to them. So when we hear, it is just for the sake of getting information, whereas when we're listening, we listen to understand. And God also gave us this basics wherein we were given one mouth and two ears. So that means you need to listen more. You think of any person that you like, any of your friend whom you feel it's great to hang out with, and chances are this person would be one who listens to you. is a very good listener. Like if I think my best friend, he's an amazing listener. So whenever I have to vent out, I'm not feeling good, I can spend hours speaking and he would just listen. He would not get judgmental. He would not give any comments there. And once the conversation is over, at least from my side, I automatically feel better. So I think listening is a very, very important part of communication. So moving on to the part of conflicts, you raise another very important point. I believe in today's time, communication is becoming a lot about miscommunication, communication leading to conflicts. Would you like to throw some light on it?
Sure. So, when it comes to conflict, I was not away from that. I was the one who was most misunderstood person. And, when I did some introspection, I realized that that was because of my tone.
Okay. Okay.
So again, it's somehow related to your communication skills. My tone was like that even if I'm telling people to do something, they felt that I am getting aggressive, blaming them, they used to get defensive. And this is the same that people face in their workplaces. So your tone really matters a lot. Second thing is, as you talked about listening skills, they are extremely important. And you meet somebody, you ask them, listening skills are very important, and everybody will tell you, I know, I'm a very good listener. I always
Correct.
listen to people well.
Correct.
Nobody will ever admit I am not good at listening. Nobody.
Correct.
And most of the times when you are speaking, what people do is they are preparing the answer in their mind. They are just thinking, let
Absolutely.
her finish, I'll speak this. And especially if you are giving feedback when it comes to workplaces, what people do is, oh, he's blaming me. Let me defend myself. So they
Correct.
get into defensive mode where the conflict actually begins. When you start getting defensive instead of understanding the purpose. Why is the other person speaking this? So according to me, the best is whenever somebody comes to you and tells you something about you, just take it positively. Just understand it is the other person's perspective. Then do reflection and think, did I do that or not? Because nobody knows better than you. You can lie to people, no, I was not the one, but you know that in your heart that what you did wrong and what you did right. So just do introspection, thank the other person for the feedback and move on. If it is something that you really have to work upon it. If there is something that is, maybe the other person's perspective, but you feel it is not something you should be bothered about, just move on. This is the best way to avoid conflict. Otherwise, conflicts are bound to happen.
Very well said, Ishleen. And I believe a lot of times when someone is giving feedback, especially negative feedback, is when our emotions get all charged up. So for me also, if it's all positive, so then you remember all the basics. You'll be nice, you'll nod your head, you'll maintain your body language, and you'll be fine. The moment someone starts saying something which is negative or which is against my values or ethics, something I don't agree with, that's the time, I would have a problem and be like, okay, so that's the time you start interrupting and you tend to lose all those things. So any advice for people when they know all the basics? And right now I believe everybody knows everything thanks to Google out there.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
how do you ensure that I know this, but then I do it in the heat of the moment? I don't get carried away by my emotions. And I also understand at the same time that being a human being, when someone criticizes you, you would naturally feel bad. That's something you cannot avoid. So in that scenario, what is the best suggestion that you have?
Feeling bad when somebody says negative about you, it's human. You cannot avoid that. Even when I tell people that when somebody says bad about you, just move on, try and understand it's their perspective. People tell me, ma'am, it's easy to say, but it's very difficult to do. So I'll tell you what I did for myself. Earlier, what happened was whenever I used to come to know, and especially the people who are close to us, when we come to know they said something bad about us, we really feel very bad. And basically what happens is we get into that expectation game. I did this for the person, I did that for the person. Now see, the person is saying this about me. So one thing again, you have to understand, you cannot please everybody. It's not possible because all of them are human beings. You have to understand people will have negative opinion about you. So tell me one thing. Are you 100% happy with you? You don't feel anything negative about you? You don't feel guilty about things? You do now. Then people also
Definitely.
feel the same.
Correct,
So
correct.
we have to accept ourselves first. Acceptance is the key here. Once you accept yourself that I'm a human being, it's okay to, feel negative. It's okay if people think I'm bad. If it's okay if people feel I'm not very, cooperative, caring, whatever. You cannot please everybody.
Right.
Accept yourself as you are and then move on. And mastering your emotions is extremely important. You get angry, but you don't have to react. You have to see when it comes to anger, no, you have to understand what are your triggers. What triggers you? Because when I did for me, my trigger was when anybody said anything negative about me, I used to get angry. That was my trigger point. So I worked on it. So find your trigger point. What makes you angry? What situations make you angry? What, because sometimes what happens is it's about a particular person. This person will say something, I'll get angry. The other person will say the same thing, I won't get angry.
Right,
So
right.
sometimes
So
it's
we have
about the
to carry our
person also.
perceptions along. Perceptions play a very, very important role. So like for me, if you're a good friend, I believe, she is a good friend. She's a well-wisher. So probably you telling me and saying that Shivani, this doesn't work for you is okay. Now the same statement coming up by another person with whom I already have some cold vibes going on or things are not the right way. I just need a reason to get angry. So I would completely agree that
Yeah.
happening does. And another thing that I'm noticing a lot these days is miscommunication happening because most of the times now we are glued to social media. So be it WhatsApp, be it Instagram, be it Facebook. And a lot of times, the communication that you would have, like face-to-face communication is lacking and we communicate over WhatsApp. So when you're communicating over WhatsApp, you are not able to see the tone of the person. You can hear it out. You can see the body language if the person is joking or if the person is serious or the person is mocking you. Hence, it results into a lot of confusion happening there, and people keep fighting over WhatsApp. I've seen a lot of breakups happening over WhatsApp. I'm also a counselor, so I keep getting these relationship issues. They see people would fight over WhatsApp, they would break up over WhatsApp. I know even divorces are happening through this platform. So, anything on this from your side?
Shivani, you have brought up a very valid point. The major reason of miscommunication is social media. There are two things to this. One, as you said, WhatsApp communication. So there is one more thing. Relationships break because of the ego issues as well. Because I want the other person to do this, but when it comes to me, I don't want to do. I want my spouse to change, my partner to change, my children to change. So many people around me, I want them to change. So did you observe one thing? Whenever we see any video, we share it to people. Do we apply it on ourselves first? No. Most of the times we'll share it with people because I want you to do this. So I think in relationships, communication is extremely important. I'll give you my example. Me and my husband, whenever we are in a conflict, we don't discuss it at that moment, at that point, because we know both of us are in angry mood right now. So if we'll go to, communicate at that point of time, both of us will go get defensive. Both of us will try to prove our point and it's not going to work. So what we do is we talk about it the next day. This is our rule. I've been married since 11 years now. So this is our rule. We always talk about it the next day. Then I always tell this is what I felt. But I hear to him with an open mind. So when it comes to social media, there is one more thing. FOMO, fear of missing out. People never ever show their bad moments on social media. Nobody is going to cry on social media and tell, oh, I'm very unhappy today. I had this, I fall off. Nobody is going to do that. A person is taking a trip once a month, putting the photos there. So, does life actually go like this? No. Life has 10% ups, 90% downs. But people highlight their 10%. And then miscommunication is bound to happen. Because what happens is, I'm looking at my friend, she is so happy with her husband does this, her husband does that. Then we are fighting with our own spouses.
True, been there, done that. So that indeed
Yeah.
happens. And somewhere I believe that, we have to get back to the old notioned way of communication where we would just meet a person up front and talk about things. I see this happening in corporates a lot in the IT sector where I see people are sitting in cubicles right next to each other. They don't talk to each other, they send emails. They have a WhatsApp group,
Yeah.
they start accusing each other, they have fights all over it. Like the society where I say we have this huge WhatsApp group that people keep demeaning each other the entire day rather than talking it out. So the idea is you go to a person, talk to the person, say, this is the issue I'm facing, I need your help, which is something that has
Yeah.
become now almost redundant. What people would prefer is to put everything over WhatsApp, even voice notes, with the advantage of that. We don't want to call up also people. So we are going into an age where we don't want to look at people. We don't want to be at a place where, we would like to have those eye contact. Just keep sending in messages, whatever time that is convenient for us, and expect the other person to understand. So that does happen.
And when it comes to workplaces, the major reason of conflict is that because I want to prove myself right. I'm not going to take what you are speaking about me. Then, workplace politics is everywhere.
Correct.
Everybody wants to be good in the eyes of their seniors, their superiors. So
Right.
this is what really happens. So I think when it comes to workplace conflict, what I always suggest people is don't talk to a person when you are angry. If you do this in your personal as well as professional life, it is going to give you magical results. Don't talk to the person when you are not in the mood, when you are upset. Because many times what I have seen is people are upset because of something that happened at their home, and then they are venting it out in the workplaces.
That does happen. I've seen that happening. Displacement of anger, being angry at someone else, taking it out on someone else. So waiting for the right moment would help. And something that's very
Yeah.
important part of communication is taking a pause. So taking a pause when
Yes.
you are having one-to-one communications and you're not sure you're going to say the right thing, you've forgotten your words. So even in public speaking, a lot of times, I would advise young people who are getting into first time public speaking, you tend to get nervous. You might forget a certain words, and that's okay. Everybody is human. You can do that. So simple thing of taking a pause and then recollecting your thoughts, speaking them out, or just giving a breather to the audience where they can present their point of view is important. Like we discussed in the beginning, it's very, very important that I want to speak, right? I don't want to listen. So
Hmm.
we have to give that opportunity to others to speak, and we also have to take a pause because it's like the world is full of information and it's being continuously bombarded. So at times to take that pause, a breather, and then continue and recollect your thoughts instead of saying the wrong thing at the wrong time does matter.
Yes, and this really helps during interviews as well. I give interview preparation training. So there I always tell the other person whenever an question is asked, don't just jump and start answering it. Take a pause, take 5 to 10 seconds, and then answer it. So they ask me most of the times, then the interviewer will feel that we were nervous. I said, no, it's not like that. They'll feel that you are thinking about it and then answering it. So it's a perfect solution to that. Second thing is taking a pause also makes you help building your authority. Because if somebody asks you something and you randomly just, okay, this. So you answer it like this, the other person, he or she was so excited, so curious to answer it that the other person did not even listen to my question first.
Correct,
So
correct.
taking a pause is very important. And you came up with a very good point. We are all humans. We can forget our lines. So this is what I do in my trainings as well. When I start my training, and in most of the trainings, you are also from the same background, you can relate to that. That most of the people sit like this,
Right.
like they are forced to take the training. So whenever I enter the stage, I always tell them, "Can you please smile? You are making me nervous." Then when they start smiling, then always I start the training because people's energy really matters a lot when we are in
Right.
public speaking. They give us
Yes, I
energy,
believe
then
like
only we are able to perform well.
we are having this discussion. Had we not been smiling and we would have grim faces, the energy level would suddenly become very negative.
Yes, absolutely.
So, which gets me to another very, very important part of communication, which is about carrying the right amount of energy. Like, a lot of times when you talk to someone, you feel the energy level is immensely high. You feel charged up. There are certain people you talk and you feel the energy level increases. There are certain people you talk and you feel your energy level goes down. So, any inputs on this? How do you handle such a scenario?
See, I'll tell you one thing. comes to any kind of speaking where I feel that I am on the stage and the other person is there to listen to me, there is one thing I always keep in my mind. That is, I have to give value to people. If they are investing their 30 minutes, 1 hour, sometimes there are full day trainings. People are there for 7 to 8 hours. And once they move out of the room, if they do not take something with them that is actionable, they can go out and apply it, then it is sheer wastage of time. Sometimes what happens is you are not well, but still you have the training. So when it comes to energy, I do two things. One is before entering the stage, I always take a run, a jog, and I always bring energy to my face by smiling. I stand in the front of the mirror, smile, and tell myself, it's okay, you are not well, but you have a lot of energy. You can do that. You are going to rock it. I always do it before any kind of training. And it is also very good. It really helps in, bringing your nervousness down. Anyone who's a public speaker, no matter the person is doing public speaking for 10 years, 15 years, 25 years, 30 years, once you are entering the stage, you are nervous for a moment. Not because what the other person is going to think about you, but because whether I'll be able to give my 100% today or not. This is one question that comes to everybody's mind. So you have to tell yourself, do positive affirmation before you begin. It really helps. And for energy, what I recommend to people, if you feel low on energy, do sit-ups. Move your body, because until unless you're going to move your body is not going to get blood circulation. There is a simple science behind it. Until unless the blood circulation is going to happen, it's not going to work. Then for energy, I'll also recommend one thing. There are a few people who are monotonous. Their volume and intonation really matters. So if you are very low on volume, the other person will feel drained out. They will not feel like speaking to you, listening to you. You have to adjust your volume. So if I say volume on the scale of 1 to 10, it should be somewhere around 7 to 8. You cannot afford to go below 5 in any case, because your volume really plays a role. Then second thing is intonation. You have to stress on particular words. And what happens is people most of the times get confused when I say you have to stress on particular words. They say, how would we decide which word to stress on, which word not to stress on? So I always tell them the word that you really want your audience to remember, stress on it. And the best way is to speak it a little louder and a little longer.
Understood. So I think
Brings
tone
a
does
lot of
play a
energy
very,
back.
very important, importance in body language. It can seem that a person is shouting. It can seem that a person is speaking very politely to you. So, like, I'll share something very typical. If you see, how do you identify a couple and say if they're married or unmarried? And it's typically, if you observe the tone, so their voice is very low. They'll be speaking, they'll be sitting close to each other, and they'll be speaking in very soft tone, polite words. So you can observe all that and say this is a couple who's probably in love. And if you see a married couple, most of the time they're on their phones, or when they're talking, they talk loudly. So loud tone can also indicate something, as in, something is going wrong. Something I've personally observed, you go to a meeting, you want to see who is the most influential person there. This is the person who will be speaking in the lowest possible tone, where people are straining to hear him, because he doesn't need to increase his tone, but other people would be there listening to him because he carries that kind of influence. So yes, tone plays a very, very important role in the part of communication. Now, moving on from tone, we come to something again which is very important in communication, is body language. So, when your body language is there, it is really authentic. It speaks the truth about you, no matter how many beautiful words you use or whatever intention you're showing. Your body language is something through which you can understand a lot of things. Like, one person who's very good in body language, probably even trained in it, is Narendra Modi. You look at him in his speeches, he would take the right amount of pause. His body language is so poised, confident. And I think that is also a reason that whenever he goes outside the country and projects himself as the representative of the country, it shows people take him seriously. So anything on body language from your side?
When it comes to body language, it is indeed very important. As you just quoted about Mr. Narendra Modi, he is one of the examples of that. There are many good public speakers who, when they speak, like I'm very fond of Simon Sinek. Whenever he speaks, he mesmerizes the people. And body language, what role it plays, it is known by everybody, but still most of the people don't know what kind of body language they have today. So for that, in body language, for me, the most important thing is maintaining an eye contact.
Correct.
Most of the times, if you are not maintaining an eye contact, you don't look influential. You don't feel interested. Like people will be, she's not interested in listening to me. And the most ignored thing I would say here is using your phone. You're talking to somebody, your phone rings, you randomly pick up your phone and have a look. There is a notification in your watch, you randomly look at it. This really looks very bad. So I always suggest whenever you are in any important conversation, keep your mobile phones away, keep any kind of distractions away. Maintaining an eye contact is extremely important. And if you are feeling nervous, I always tell people in order to maintain the eye contact, look at the other person and try to find the color of their eyes. It really helps. So just try to find the color, whether it's brown or black, because the nervousness is only for initial 10 to 15 seconds. If you are able to manage that, you won't feel nervous after that. Second thing is smiling. Smiling is again very, very important. When you're smiling, the other person feels the warmth, they feel the connection, they feel the interest. So smiling is again important. Your hand gestures, be very, very careful with your hands, because if you are nervous, your hands are shivering, it is going to spoil the impression for sure. So move your hands wisely. And for body language, I'll give one more example. Whenever you have to look confident, you can observe people around you as well. The people who are more influential, they take more space. So when it comes to sitting, the person who is less influential, less interested will have this body language. Be closed and leaned back. The person who's interested will always lean forward, keep the hands loose, take more space around you. This builds authority and influence. This is very important in body language. And for body language, you can always look at your favorite public speakers. See how they walk, see how they talk, see how they make their face expressions, see how their body, their hand gestures are moving, what are their face expression, where are they looking at. It really helps, and try to imitate them. Initially it really helps imitating people. Gradually it will start coming up naturally, because not everybody is naturally good at communication skills, but the best part is it can always be done.
Very well said, Ishleen. I will completely agree with you. And the point where you said taking up space, and it so much resonates with my idea of, like India is a patriarchal society. It's highly male dominated. And you'll find here men taking up more space than women. So when, women said, they said more elegantly, their legs together, their hands together. So like you said, a point of putting your hands together, a lot of women also do it as a matter of habit. Whereas men, they would sit like this, their legs would be wide open or at least a bit open. So somewhere it also comes from a society where men take in more roles of authority, whereas women do. So even making this small change in body language can work wonders for women, wherein we help them to take more positions of authority. I've seen a lot of organizations where women are being given an opportunity to work, but somehow they do not feel the confidence to take up those responsibilities, to leverage those opportunities on their own. Why? Because our mindset has been conditioned for so long that perhaps you are the weaker sex and you don't have the same opportunities that men have, that even if they are given to you, at times you don't tend to utilize them. So very, very important point that you have raised. And now I would like you to share some message that you like to share with the followers, with the students out there who are trying to work on their communication skills, make them better. So any inputs from your side?
Sure. So, all the people who are listening to us today, I would say communication skills is not something that you cannot master. You can always master it with practice. And if you start it today, it hardly takes 30 to 35 minutes per day. There are so many tricks and tips you can follow. You can go to our Instagram channel. I put up so many videos for communication skills, and communication skills are one skills that are extremely important. Even if you lack in other soft skills, if you are excellent in communication skills, it is going to cover up everything around you. It is going to help in your workplaces. It is going to help in your personal lives. It is going to help you everywhere. Also, it is going to help you in talking to yourself, because communication with self is the most ignored yet the most important part. Indulge in positive self talk, master your communication skills, rock your life, and success is there in front of you. The only thing that you have to take care is consistency. Don't get demotivated, be consistent in your efforts. Consistency always brings success.
Very beautifully described, and I'm sure our followers would have gained a lot of value addition from the inputs that you shared with us. Thank you, Ishleen. Thanks for sparing out time for this podcast. Thank you so much.
That's indeed my pleasure, Shivani. Thank you so much for having me here.